Support for Podcast by Night is provided by Midnight Syndicate. To learn more, please visit midnightsyndicate.com. Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast by Night. My name is John, and yes, I know it's been a while, but I will definitely tell you that Enochian is harder to translate than I first thought. So I promise you, the Tremere episode is coming. In the meantime, though, I had a wonderful interview with Thomas over at Flyos Games about their Kickstarter campaign, which should drop today, the same day that this episode drops, about their game Chapters. It is a fantastic interview, and it's a fantastic game. I urge all of you out there to check it out. The link is in the show notes, and tell them John sent you, and it'll be great. I can't wait to play this game. I bet you can't either. You're going to love it. All right, well, enjoy the interview, and I will be talking to you later. Yeah, so how have you been?
Busy.
I bet.
Yeah, kind of crazy actually. So we were with one of our main reviewer this afternoon actually, and it was a 45 live interview and prototype gaming of the game prologue that you actually know.
Right.
And it was all in French, and I had to translate in English to French live, explain the whole thing of the game, and yeah, it was kind of big actually.
Oh wow, yeah. Who is that with?
E2 Game. So it roughly translates to Do You Dare to Play, kinda, and Quebec is a small francophone, exception in North America, and especially in gaming, they're small but very, very fun. And they're a friend of ours. They reviewed our first two games, and for this one, since they're big VtM fans, we've kind of went with not only the review of the game, but also the beyond the scene of the whole thing. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing in the last 2 weeks. Reviews after interviews after interviews.
I bet. Well, yeah, because the launch is coming up real soon.
It's in a week.
I can't believe it.
Finally.
I know, that's going to be amazing. It's good. It's funny because it happens. I believe the launch is February 4th.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is the day before my birthday.
Awesome. So, yeah, you know what to do.
I do, and I will.
Since we had such a blast doing that, small and live interview back in the at Gen Con, we've been in contact with different podcasts, and since there is so much thing going on, I just wanted, to keep you in the loop, basically, and so we can have this podcast and episode maybe going and explain you all the NDS stuff we have going. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just last week I looked at our stats, and I can't personally believe it. Our meek little podcast has already reached like 15,000 plus downloads.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
Wow. That's amazing.
I know, we're stoked. I'm halfway through finishing the Tremere edit for the Tremere clan, so that's going to be coming out real soon. 3 parts.
Amazing. Yeah, Tremere has a lot of things going on, so.
Oh, I know. I can't wait. And you said that Tremere is going to be in Chapters.
Yeah. So since the last time is that the podcast going on already?
No. I'm just finishing it right now.
All right. So basically, now since the last time we saw each other, there was the Banu Hakim expansion out. Since then, we've worked on 2 more add-ons. So there is the La Sombra and the Ministry character available in the game as add-ons, and we've been working with a lot of cross promoters, other people in the VTM, licensee landscape. So, for example, we are now working with Heritage. We also have some cross promotion with VTS, Eternal Struggle. But since then, we also met some people from Succubus Publishing, Midara, and the co-founder is so excited about VTM chapters that he's actually a writer guest of honor that's going to be able to write a scenario in the game. So we're very, very happy about it.
No, that is amazing. That is one thing that got me really excited when I met you guys at Gen Con about everything that's just kind of exploding with Vampire nowadays is the amount of cross promotion, the collaborative nature of this medium and this game that we all love is mind blowing. And I think when I was speaking to Jason Carl, also at Gen Con, we agreed that this is like what a time to be a fan. Time.
Exactly.
I mean, it's incredible.
So I have one last surprise for you, John. Actually.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah, that's under NDA until February 4th. So when the game goes out, the campaign goes out. But we were able to get in contact and find a cooperation and a cross product with Bloodlines 2. So in VTM chapters, you will be able to play as a playable character for one scenario, Mr. Demp from Bloodlines 2, actually.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, just diving right into the campaign here, I got the email for the preview look, for the sneak peek.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks amazing. Like I said before, I'm so excited. And it's just, I saw the Ministry, I saw the La Sombra expansion pack. I mean, you guys are really covering the gamut on this. I watched the little promo video.
Yeah.
And it was
the video was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. You guys, it's like you were speaking right to me. It's like I know we spoke about it before that you get older, you got work, you got a family, you have friends. You can't really sit down and campaign like you used to.
Yeah.
But just for that little demo we had at Gen Con, you guys shared with me, I definitely, it has the flavor. It still has the feel.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm playing a vampire game, and that's important to me.
It is for us as well. We are gamer first, and you know us. You saw the tattoo we have, Gary and I,
yes.
on our. It's no compromise on quality, no compromise on like the immersive story. It's a story-driven co-op board game, and it has to be that way. It has to be a campaign, an RPG in a box that you can play solo and that you don't need any game master to play, and that's very, very important for us.
Absolutely, and that means a lot to me because I've got some friends that we're board gamers. We have a gaming group, but that's kind of like we've played Betrayal at Hill House and those kind of narrative games. So I can't wait to bring this to them. I'm going to be like, hey guys, boom, welcome to my world.
The basic of the idea was exactly this. We're getting older, but we still want to play, but we can't. And also, it's just that this world has changed our life, Gary and I. Like other player had this feeling when at some point VTM was, cornerstone of our personality, of our friendship, of our lifestyle, and we wanted to share this. But we love board game, we love VTM, and we love tabletop RPG. So we decided to make a bridge behind these two, for people that want, to focus on combat. You can, and then scenario after scenario, you can discover the walls of darkness, the intrigue, the politics aspect of it, of the eternal life and the jihad. And then when you're ready to play, you can, start over the campaign, which is 100% replayable, and start with another focus, another aspect. So you can rediscover the same story, but with such a different angle that it's basically, a new game.
Absolutely. That you sound like you've got the same sort of relationship with Vampire the Masquerade as I
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
because same thing. It's going to the clubs, dressing up. My circle of friends, my close knit friends, were part of that group. Its mythology became our mythology.
Yeah.
Its heroes were our heroes. It was a whole zeitgeist that is I'm so happy is reaching a renaissance.
And that's the goal. That's exactly why we are working so hard on making this cross-universe game. That's why we have partnership with Bloodlines 2. That's why we have partnership with Heritage, VTES. It's important that we discover, and people that are not very familiar with it and are maybe sometimes, a little bit intimidated by this whole world, that could discover it, because we know these two communities, the board game and the tabletop RPG communities, and we are so similar. Yet it's hard to go from one group to another. So that's why we're trying to make it happen.
Amazing. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the campaign? I've got the page up here.
Yeah.
What do we need to know before, once this thing launches?
So February 4th until the 28th of February, we're launching a Vampire the Masquerade Chapters Kickstarter campaign, and we are offering a day one reward if you are listening this on time. But if you don't, that's fine. We've made 3 pledges that will let you, upgrade it and get that reward back. So if you back day one, you will have the Banu Hakim character expansion for free. And the game started at 149 Canadian dollars. So it's way less in USD, of course. And there is another pledge at 199 with all the core game plus the 3 add-ons. So Banu Hakim, La Sombra, and Ministry. And we have an ultimate big pledge where you have all the add-ons included. And if you, make basic math with all the add-ons in together, it goes way more than $500. So we've made a heavy discount for you to get all the add-ons. So you have, of course, the base game plus all 3 add-ons, but also an NPC miniature pack, so you can play all the game with only minis. The game comes with 8 plus the 11, and we also have 3 Kickstarter exclusives. So the Werewolf miniature, the Sabbath Priest miniature, and Mr. Damp from Bloodlines 2 that you can play as a Kickstarter exclusive miniature. And of course, it goes with a painted miniature in this pledge, the biggest one, a set of 15 metal dice that you can use for VTM chapters, but for any other means in the VTM world, metal boons, and some dice cloth, because everyone wants to play with, their own clan's dice cloth and say, hey, I have this La Sombra, I'm playing La Sombra, and here's my colors, here who I am. So we've made that happen.
Right. No, that's very true. It's like the game representation of the clan pins.
Yeah.
I know people have loyalty to their clans. I know.
Yes. And we actually, it's hard now in Kickstarter to ask for such an amount. We're asking for 250,000 Canadian dollars. But the thing is, we're playing transparency and honesty on this, because now in Kickstarter, the industry is very is playing the algorithm of Kickstarter. So you're trying to having the funding goal as low as possible, so you can explode it in one day and say, hey, we've met our funding in one day. The thing is, we have more than 8 writers working on writing the books, writing the dialogues. There is more than 250,000 words in this game. So we've made into our team a lot of known writers of VTM, such as Matthew Dawkins, Keldin Calhoun, that worked on a lot of VTM by night. Also working with some Ubisoft writers, some people that have worked also on the V5, so Crystal Mazur, Mike Nod, and we also have a writer guest, Brooklyn Lundberg from Succubus Publishing. Of course, Fabien Fernandez and Moon that have been with us from the beginning. We have 4 illustrators, 2 sculptors for the miniatures. We're working with the best rules writer in the world right now, Joseph Pilkus, that has been working on Stonemaier games. We've composed an original music. So yes, there is a lot of people. There is a whole team behind us now, and we need a lot of funding to be able to pay well those writers, all the people in this team, because well, they're the best in their division, and talent. That's where the money's at. So after that, the game cost a lot of money because we are out of the industry standard. That's why, for example, this game may not see retail, because the margin in when you get your game distributed is cut big time. And for now, we do not see anything happening in the retail. So yeah, this is very exciting. We can talk directly to our main audience and to Kickstarter backers, asking a real funding goal, making some regular price so it doesn't spike and be nothing, stable and meaningful. So yeah, we're having every basis covered, and this is not our first game. It's our 3rd Kickstarter campaign game as well. So we know how it works. It's not our first barbecue.
I will say, as because I used Kickstarter for my short film, which actually showed at the Gen Con Film Festival.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely know how Kickstarter works in that regard. But I will say, as a fan, as a consumer, as someone who loves the Kickstarter platform to help projects like this get out there, I want to put a call to action out to all the Podcast by Night listeners that this is a quality product, well worth the money. I think your price points are great. I think they're right on. And absolutely, everybody deserves to get paid what they deserve to get paid for the art that this is going to be.
Well, we are working, for example, with Mark Simonetti. So he was the one to work on multiple films. He has been the illustrator of Game of Thrones, of Star Wars, of so many great franchise and license. So yes, the game looks gorgeous, and we've been working on the story and the campaign as the main, selling point of the game, because the story is so thrilling. It's an adventure where you are a whole coterie of kindred, and you start by investigating on an old threat that gets back in Montreal that used to be a Sabbath city, and now it's a Camarilla city. But they've been handling that territory for so many years. Who says they're completely gone? So there is a lot of the freedom of an RPG that we've made available in a board game. So for example, you are in room A and you need to go into room B to get to room C, but in room B there is a guard. Let's say there is a guard, and you depending on the clan you play, maybe you're very good at stealth, maybe you're good at persuasion, maybe you're good at combat. So you have this different option of action where you can sneak behind him, you can sneak and knock him out. Maybe you play the Assamite, the Banu Hakim, and maybe you can dispatch him. Maybe you can feed on him. Maybe you can rush at him like a Bruja that you are. Maybe you can talk your way through and try to seduce him or dominate him to make him think that you deserve to be here in this place. And you can also try to talk to him and you're not good enough and things escalate and you just punch him in the face. So all these mechanisms has to be, well written and immersive and realistic. So this is where we have 3 different mechanisms in the game, which is the tactical combat, the immersive dialogue, and the captivating investigation. So you can, play it as you like. You can rush, you can outsmart your opponent, you can learn everything from the shadows and have an advantage when you try to ambush. There is a lot of option in gameplay you can play in this game.
That is incredible. I love how, and again, it does come through with the campaign video that you took into account all of those aspects of the clans because our podcast specifically is for the player on how to best approach a said clan, and we talk about all those stereotypes about how you can, like you said, the Bruja, you punch him in the face. But I'm sure, do you have the ability to use presence?
Of course.
See, now that's amazing. That plays right into
Every
it. I love
disciplines are there, and we are old V3 players, so for us it was important that the dominate aspect of the dementation of the Malkavian to be true to their nature. So we've made a dominate amalgam that sap the will of the opponent. So you can use it in persuasion, but maybe you can also use it as a dominate. There is also the blood sorcery that is different from the Trumir that is to the Banu Hakim, and all disciplines and flaws from the different clan has been not simplified but adapted to a board game. So it's an easy way for newcomers, new players that are not familiar with Vampire the Masquerade to go in and introduce other people. And then it's an easy to play, hard to master universe. But if you look closely, you will have a lot of lore, a lot of secrets, a lot of things you can use in your own campaign, a lot of things that you will be able to include in every role play you could play. And when you play, for example, a character, let's say, for example, the Gangrel, when you play the Gangrel of the prologue that is available for free on Tabletopia, from the beginning, the first action you have is, should you rush to kill your opponent with a knife or bare hands? And if you're smart enough and you know how to play role play, check your character sheet. You see that you have 3 in brawl, but pretty much nothing in weapons. So what would be your first reaction if you're more comfortable punching things than grabbing a knife? And there is some tricks here and there. There is some lies, some deception. So it's a world of darkness and a kindred story. So don't rely on anything you see here. There is lies, layers of lies and deception, and that's how we want to play VtM.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's layers of lies and deception. That just sort of goes back to reminding me of all those LARP games I played where it's like, the bad guy is definitely coming at me. It's a straightforward encounter. No, wait. No, it's not. I love
it. It never is, right?
Never is. I'm so happy that you included that aspect because it's true. When you talked about replayability, it's something that seems like you could be kind and say, yeah, sure, it's straightforward. But if you dig deeper, there could be something else.
Of course. And, it's for us, it's important when you have such a narrative and story and interactive story, every decision you make is going to impact the ending of a scenario. And depending on how you finish a scenario, it will lock or unlock another scenario. Imagine scenario number 1, you are close to frenzy and you decide to drink and feed on a human. If you get caught by another human before, it has X amount of rounds to leave the tile of where you're playing. If you leave the tile, you have a Masquerade breach. And the more Masquerade breach you have, the more difficult the game will be, because Inquisition that left Montreal may come back. And whatever you do, if you kill this kind leaving the tile, you can, for example, dominate him and make him forget. That is a very reliable power. But maybe in order to not have the Masquerade breach, you will have to kill him. But this will impact your humanity. So there is layers of complexity in the game. There is layers of gameplay, and whatever you do, the game can be played solo or up to 4 players. And in the core game, you have 8 characters. So you can play with 3 of your friends, go all in with a Gangrel, Nosferatu, Bruja, and the Banu Hakim, and you come from a board game perspective, so you want to kind of, dungeon crawl it. That's fine. You can play VTM as you want. But step by step, you will learn that in very specific and in the kindred society, direct confrontation can be very dangerous and attract a lot of attention. So you can finish that whole campaign and start over with a Ventru, a Toreador, a Malkavian, and decide, oh, you know what, this time, even if it's the same scenario, I'm going to go a different path, a different way. And this will have an effect on that kind that you fed upon. And maybe you will go to scenario number 3, maybe scenario number 4. So whatever you do, every scenario is going to be different. Every path of campaign is going to be different as well.
Amazing. I cannot wait.
Yeah, but look, it's our most ambitious project, to be really honest with you. We've been working 16 hours a day for 6 days a week for the last 6 months because we wanted, there is no compromise on quality. And I think people are starting to see it. We've had 10 reviewers on this game, and we are not paying for the review because we think that it's not very transparent, that you can pay a professional reviewer X amount of dollars when you ask them their honest opinion. If you pay them, it's biased. So we decided to go with the people that we trust, love, and support, and we have more than 10 reviews, and so far everyone said that the game is exceptional. Everybody said that the game is immersive, is the way to play a VTM game as a board game. It's heartwarming because we feel acknowledged, and all that work was worth it. Yes.
Amazing. Well, I definitely, like I said, I can't wait to get my hands on it. This is definitely something. I can't wait to throw my money at you. This is definitely that's good to hear. That is good to hear because, again, after meeting you and seeing the demo and the video and just the media that I've consumed thus far about it, quality is definitely a word I would use. It's something that we as Vampire the Masquerade players have come to expect, and I don't think you're going to let us down.
Well, we've been very transparent and honest in the beginning of the project. We've included the community in the Facebook group that we have, that you're part of. And we've made some contests, for example, because we decided to include the ministry based on the Anarch V5 release. And we said, you know what? We're not only going to decide, we've decided enough characters. There was 10 that we designed, loved, and created with their backstory, with their personality, the preset characters. Of course, players will be able to improve them over time with experience point, but you start as a main character, so you come from one point. Then whatever you do with it, you can decide. But when we started, we decided, let's implicate the community in it. So we've made a contest in the Facebook group, and one person actually won, and she designed the ministry character from Brazil. And we're very happy about it. Everyone is so dedicated in the VTM and the World of Darkness universe that it would be, we would be a fools to not use so much passion, lore, and knowledge. So we've decided to include the community in every step of the process. For example, at the end of the campaign, we've put all the step of the project at some point. So there is a picture of us at Gen Con. There is pictures of the beginning of the tiles and the concept art of the Nosferatu, but also the whole storyline branching, how depending on what you do, you can go one way or another. Also the branching dialogue structure. We had to go very professional for this and use a software that's called Miro. That's extremely expensive to make it sure that there is no loop in the dialogue, that everything is smooth and natural. So we had to go with scenarists and writers on this. And at the end of the campaign, we've put a very old picture of Gary and I from the summer of 2010. And it's kind of a picture to celebrate our 10 years of friendship. And there's all those old items that we are very fond of, kind of Easter egg of all of our stories and things that we did in our teenagers and the beginning of our adult life. And in the middle of this picture, there is Vampire the Masquerade V3. This is the cornerstone of our friendship and our and Flyos games. And there is no way the most ambitious project that we've are happy and lucky to be working on that would compromise on quality. There is no way.
Well, that is very good to hear. I'm very happy to hear that. And we will, of course, post this on launch day. If you're listening to this on launch day, then you already know all of this stuff's going on. We're going to include all the links needed. Is there anything else that you want to tell the listeners?
Yeah, sure. So the game takes place in Montreal, which is, of course, one of the most Sabat blackface cities. So when V5 came out, we realized that one of the first hub of Canine that would be the target would be with First Light, especially, would be the Sabat, because they're not very, subtle about their nature. They're very arrogant about it. And we decided to kill them all. All. That's what we call the Night of Ashes. And we're now working with a lot of, LARP group, because we discovered LARP this year. And we had such a blast that we decided to make that event something kind of official. So let's, talk about this maybe later on. But Montreal is going to be the main story. Vampire the Masquerade Chapters is named Chapters because we have a lot of chapters coming up. But the first one is Montreal. And every single tile that you're going to play in this game is going to be a different place in Montreal. So you will be able to go from the Chalet du Mont-Royal to the Factory of Five Roses to the Prince main, haven, to every single place in Montreal that is, very representative of the landscape. So I'm sure that at some point when you're going to visit Montreal because of this game, you will be able to have kind of a knowledge of this and be able to just, recognize everything. So it's very fun to put your city in the front of it.
That is amazing. And yes, that is going to make a lot of people happy, a few that I know well. And you know what? You're right. I'm definitely going to want to visit Montreal.
Oh, actually, I think we're going to have to go to see the tourism office or something and kind of to find some deal, because we're putting Montreal in the front of it. And that's amazing. We are very lucky to have such support, such love from fans. We are fans ourselves. So if you have good ideas, if you want to implicate yourself in this, there is the Facebook group that you can always join. We do a lot of surveys, contests. We put everything up front. We're very transparent about it. So feel free to come. You're very, very welcome.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, you hear that? I'm going to also include links to that Facebook group. Podcast by Night is, of course, members. So, well, thank you. Thank you,
so
Thomas.
much.
This has been
Thank you so
amazing. All right. Well, I can't wait. And we're going to see you back on the February 4th when this thing launches. And I hope to talk to you soon.
I hope to, John. So for the lore thing, it's actually really happening maybe with Jackalope Studio, the one that made, the night in question.
Oh, yeah.
So we are maybe going to do it, the first one, in Gen Con this year, if everything goes according to our plan. But yeah, it's if we are able to make the campaign that we want to do, we might start to become, active in this community and what we can do with this. And I think it's so awesome that we were able to gather you, other podcasts, other cross promoters, other licenses just around us, because it's very important that we have our word to say on this. And it's humbling, it's exhilarating, it's everything in together. We cannot sleep, we cannot stop working. We need sleep when we're dead, but
right.
For now, there's so much work to do, and it's awesome.
Well, that's why they do call it passion.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly. All right. Well, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that.
Thank you so much, John.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Bye.
Bye.
And if you want to get a hold of us outside of our normal podcast hours, you can find us at Podcast by Night on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter at By Night Podcast, or you can email us with any questions, thoughts, opinions, anything you want to communicate to us. You can do that at podcastbynight@gmail.com.